was excited to make a return to native Android games that are available on the Google Play Store and work well with the built-in controls of handheld devices. This has been an ongoing series on the channel that I constantly get requests for new entries. Now, it's been a few months since I've done a dedicated video to Android games, and in particular one for Android-based handhelds, which I feel like is an overlooked feature of a lot of these devices. So I wanted to continue this ongoing series with some returning and new additions to the long list of great Android games that I've featured before on the channel. But I wanted to focus in on games that work well with the Retroid Pocket Mini's 4:3 aspect ratio display, and that really stand out with its beautiful AMOLED screen. So please join me, Rob the Retro Tech Dad, as we explore 10 premium Android experiences for the Retroid Pocket Mini and other Android-based handhelds. Now, before we begin, I just wanted to mention that I specifically wanted to test compatibility of these Android games with the Retroid Pocket Mini, and these are games that I thought would fit well with a smaller screen. Surprisingly, there are many games that will work just fine with the Mini, but unfortunately they don't scale, and so I wanted to find games that scaled properly to the 4:3 aspect ratio, which will allow us to enjoy games that fully utilize the real estate available here. Finally, I wanted to quickly mention that while the focus of this video is finding games that work with the Retroid Pocket Mini, many of these games are awesome experiences that can be enjoyed on many devices, including the upcoming Retroid Pocket 5, as long as they have Android and Google Play Store support. This is going to be a fun and quick video, but hopefully there will be something in here for everyone, and you will be able to add to your list of great playable games. So let's dive right into this video, and I'll be going in alphabetical order to keep things nice and simple. Let's start out with an older Android game, but one that is well worth mentioning, and I was particularly excited to feature BADLAND because the visuals in this game will really shine on the AMOLED display of the Retroid Pocket Mini. And if you notice on screen, there's a lot of black scenery in the game, so the visuals look just incredible on here thanks to the excellent black levels that naturally come with an AMOLED panel. I was surprised to find out that I've never actually featured BADLAND in any of my dedicated Android videos, and so it seems appropriate to change it now for this specific showcase, since this is a wonderful game that, while simple to play, has excellent gameplay and it does work with the dedicated controls of the Retroid Pocket Mini without the need for any mapping. BADLAND was an early standout on mobile devices, with it first releasing as a mobile game on both iOS and Android, but has since been ported to many other platforms. Regardless, the Android version here is excellent and well worth checking out, since it does properly scale to the Mini's 4:3 aspect ratio display. But really, the game itself stands out as being deceptively simple, but as you progress through the game, you begin to see how BADLAND blends physics-based platforming with puzzle-solving elements. You will definitely need to bring your top game for this, since it requires careful timing, precision, and quick reflexes. There's a lot to enjoy here with BADLAND, which has tons of content to enjoy, but I think its gorgeous art style will be especially a treat here on the AMOLED display of the Retroid Pocket Mini. BADLAND is available to download for free, but does have an option to remove ads completely in-game with a premium version for just $3.99, and it's definitely well worth the price of admission. The Dadish Collection is a series of games that comes to us from a single developer, Thomas K. Young, and is an awesome, retro-inspired 2D side-scrolling platformer where you get to play as Dadish, a dad that is also a radish. Yes, the vegetable. It's no surprise that I was immediately drawn to this game since, naturally, I'm the Retro Tech Dad, and of course us dads need to stick together. And speaking of being a dad, you may or may not have noticed the sunshine tattoo on my hand, which one of my daughters so lovingly placed on my hand. Anyways, I'm surprised I've never talked about the Dadish series of games, and with this one you get not only one game recommendation, but two additional ones that are part of this traditional 2D platforming style. The Dadish games start out with Dadish discovering that his kids have gone missing, and so like any good father, Dadish sets out on a journey to find his kids. Now, unlike Dadish, I can confidently say that I've never lost any of my kids, and so have never went on a journey looking for them, which is where Dadish comes into play. Now, these games are just very fun and laid back, with tons of great humor, and again have simple mechanics but plenty of challenge thanks to its platforming sensibilities, so don't let its cute visuals fool you. I particularly like the Dadish games on the Retroid Pocket Mini because the visuals are clean and easy to absorb on a smaller display, and of course most importantly the game properly scales to the 4:3 aspect ratio. The Dadish Collection is available on the Google Play Store for $8.99, and it includes the 3 games as part of the collection. The games are also available to download individually on the Play Store. I couldn't help myself, and I just had to feature Horizon Chase for this showcase since this has been an absolute favorite racing game of mine that is available natively on the Android platform. It's definitely no stranger to the channel, and personally has been a mainstay of many Android-based handhelds of mine, going as far back as the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. I think Horizon Chase, despite being well known on Android, is always worth mentioning, and amazingly, I always find someone that hasn't tried out or even heard of the game, so hopefully that happens again with it being included here. Horizon Chase is just a fantastic arcade-style racer with great retro-inspired visuals that pays homage to great games like Outrun, Top Gear, and Lotus Turbo Challenge. I never get tired of this game, and it's always a treat to play through this over and over again. The best part about Horizon Chase is just how fantastic it looks on the Retroid Pocket Mini's AMOLED display. And of course, as you can see on screen, it properly scales to the 4:3 display, and it just feels so right here on the Mini. Horizon Chase is part of the Google Play Pass, and is also available as a free download with in-game purchases. Hot Lap League Racing Mania is the perfect game to follow up with, and it's a very fun and addictive time trial focused arcade experience, and oftentimes gets compared to Trackmania. I absolutely love games that focus on this element that have you going back and repeating tracks, improving your lines so that you get the best times and as a result the most rewards. Hot Lap League rewards precision and of course mastering the tracks to get those best times. There's a lot to enjoy here with Hot Lap League, which offers a campaign time trial mode as well as daily events and other challenges to keep things fresh and of course keep you coming back for more. I was very excited to find out that Hot Lap League works great with the Retroid Pocket Mini, scaling properly to the 4:3 aspect ratio display, and it looks beautiful on the screen with its awesome visuals that can easily be turned up to the very high settings, with a 60 frames per second target thanks to the Snapdragon 865, which is no slouch here. The game works right out of the box with the built-in controls of the Retroid Pocket Mini, and it's one that is guaranteed to get you hooked, and it certainly got me hooked again, which is always a danger for these videos since I spent a lot more time playing this one than I probably should have. Hot Lap League is available on the Play Store as part of the Google Play Pass subscription, or for a one-time purchase of $4.99. Oceanhorn is another staple of the Google Play Store, releasing more than 10 years ago, first for Apple devices and then finally making its way over to the Android side and various other platforms. Oceanhorn is an incredibly polished game with fantastic visuals, art style, gameplay, and an absolutely beautiful soundtrack from composer Nobuo Uematsu of Final Fantasy fame and Kenji Ito of the Mana series. These elements all combine to give the game an absolutely charming presentation. The game heavily draws on inspiration from the Legend of Zelda series, and many have described it as being the mobile space's Zelda game, but really, on its own, it's a fantastic game that is incredibly well executed, and at least for me, it was proof that mobile games could be premium experiences. Oceanhorn is another game that works very well with the Retroid Pocket Mini, and it's well worth checking out. Now, it's an older game, but it still holds up very well, and the Mini has no issues running it at the highest graphical setting, with a 60 frames per second target. The game has full controller support and is a real treat on the handheld devices, especially on the Pocket Mini, with its AMOLED display which showcases the colorful graphics in Oceanhorn. The game is available on the Google Play Store with an initial free trial and can be fully unlocked for $4.99. It's worth noting that there is a sequel available which does take the series in a slightly different direction, but unfortunately it will most likely never see a release on the Google Play Store. Oddmar is the next game that I'm super excited to talk about since somehow I have not featured this game in any of my Android videos in the past. At first glance, you might think that Oddmar was developed by Ubisoft using the UbiArt engine with its stunning art and graphics, but surprisingly it comes to us from a relatively unknown studio known as MOBGE Limited. Oddmar takes place in an awesome Viking-themed world and is a 2D action platformer, and ironically does give me a lot of Rayman Legends and Origin vibes, partially because of the great art and platforming gameplay. Oddmar does have built-in controller support, but you will want to make sure that your Retroid Pocket Mini is set to the Xbox controller mode, otherwise the game will not detect the built-in controls of the device. But once that's done, the game is a real treat to play with the Retroid Pocket Mini, and it scales correctly to the 4:3 aspect ratio display. The graphics are absolutely stunning on the AMOLED display, but most importantly, this is a fantastic game that deserves to be played. Oddmar is available to try out for free, and then has a one-time purchase of $4.99, which unlocks the rest of the game. Surprisingly, Oddmar was released first for the mobile platforms, but it does have a port to the Nintendo Switch. Now, for a game that certainly has made its way to many platforms, Retro City Rampage DX is an incredible open-world action game and plays homage to classic 8-bit games as well as pop culture from the 80s and 90s, but the best part is that it combines it into an open-world style much like the older Grand Theft Auto games. The charming 8-bit visuals will draw you in, but the hilarious dialogue and story will keep you playing along with the great missions and the fun gameplay that usually ends in some type of chaotic destruction. This is truly the perfect blend of so many different but great things that result in an incredibly memorable experience and is a real tribute to games from the good old days. Retro City Rampage DX is one of those games that I don't think many realize has a native Android version, and it's well worth the purchase at only $2.99 on the Google Play Store, which is literally a fraction of the price compared to the console and handheld versions that are out there. The great 8-bit graphics look absolutely stunning on the AMOLED display and scale properly to the Mini's 4:3 display, but this one is a real treat that has full controller support and works great with these Android-based handhelds in general. I know, a Spongebob game, really, Rob? But I promise that Spongebob Squarepants The Cosmic Shake is an awesome 3D platformer, much like the very fun Battle for Bikini Bottom. In fact, the studio responsible for the Cosmic Shake, Purple Lamp, was the same studio that handled the rehydrated version of the Battle for Bikini Bottom, which also has an excellent port to the Play Store. The Cosmic Shake is the spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and while it's not a breakthrough in terms of gameplay, for those of us that were fans of Battle for Bikini Bottom, the Cosmic Shake does a very solid job continuing what made that game great. It's always a treat to return to the SpongeBob world, especially when it's presented this well, retaining the charm and humor of the series, and if you're a longtime fan of SpongeBob, the Cosmic Shake will be sure to put a smile on your face. I'm a huge fan of 3D platformers in general, and this one does it well with fun gameplay and absolutely gorgeous graphics that at times isn't even too much for the Retroid Pocket Mini with its Snapdragon 865. For this game, you might want to adjust the in-game graphics a little bit, but unfortunately the menus, for whatever reason, are cut off, but luckily, this game has a live preview of the changes made to the graphical settings, so just pay close attention to how the visuals change and adjust as needed. For the most part, I do have things turned up here and it looks great and runs very well. Most importantly, when we're actually in-game, it does scale properly to the 4:3 aspect ratio display, and there's something that feels so right about having a 3D platformer like this on a 4:3 display, and it goes without saying that the colorful graphics present very well on the AMOLED display of the Pocket Mini. The Cosmic Shake is available on the Google Play Store for a one-time purchase of $9.99, and while it's one of the more expensive experiences being featured here, it is truly a full-blown console experience with excellent built-in controller support. Thumper is a game that is returning from my review video of the Retroid Pocket Mini, and just in case if you haven't seen that video, I wanted to include Thumper here for this showcase because it's a game that I think many tend to forget about nowadays, and one that maybe you're not aware has a full-blown port to Android on the Google Play Store. But most importantly, it's a game that looks absolutely stunning on the AMOLED display of the Retroid Pocket Mini because of the visuals, which are dark, abstract, and intensify as you progress through the game. Thumper is best described as a rhythm-based action game, and it really does lean into its atmosphere to present this almost chilling and terrifying world in front of you with gameplay that requires precision timing synced to the beat of the equally intense soundtrack that culminates in awesome boss fights. Thumper is definitely one of those games that you just have to experience, and for me personally, I first tried Thumper as a VR game, but since then it has been solidified as one of my personal favorites, regardless of where and what platform you play it on. Thumper is an excellent port to the Play Store, and it really shows that the Play Store can be a great home for these kinds of games if Google would just wake up and give proper support to these studios. Thumper is available on the Play Store for a one-time purchase of $4.99, and like many other ports, for a fraction of the price compared to other platforms. Thumper looks fantastic on the Retroid Pocket Mini with its sharp and easily viewable visuals and has built-in controller support. And for our last game in this showcase, I have Whipseey, The Lost Atlas, which is a fun 2D platformer that was developed by Daniel A. Ramirez, and it's one of those deceivingly adorable games that is actually pretty challenging at times. Whipseey very much gives me legendary Starfy and Kirby vibes, right down to the main character Whipseey, who is a pink creature that wields a whip as both a weapon and as a way to traverse levels. But don't be fooled by Whipseey's cuteness, as this game will require precision platforming, very much reminiscent of the good old days of 2D platformers like Mario. Similar to some other entries, I particularly like this game on the Retroid Pocket Mini because its pixel graphics display really well on the Retroid Pocket Mini's screen, with it being very colorful and sharp on here, but most importantly, the game does scale properly to the 4:3 aspect ratio display, of the Pocket Mini. I think for many this will be a fun one to check out, since so many of us will be using the Mini to enjoy a lot of older games, and Whipseey fits right in with all of those. Whipseey does have full controller support, and it works great with the Retroid Pocket Mini, and it's available on the Google Play Store for just 99 cents, and is well worth adding to your collection. And we reached the end of this video, and I hope that you enjoyed these entries in this ongoing series on the channel. I think the 10 games featured here will be awesome additions to your Retroid Pocket Mini, or really on any one of your Android-based handheld devices, so definitely give them a shot. I know that I'll be back with plenty more entries in this ongoing series with the goal of just spreading awareness of the Play Store's library of games that work really well with our handheld devices. But until then, as always, I am the Retro Tech Dad, and thank you so much for watching.